Jason, I got a message from you a couple weeks ago that said, so I'm flying for work in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's nice. Why are you telling me this?
I had a reason to tell you, and it was very specific. So I started back at work at a place, and on my very first day, I walked in and I talked with some people, got the paperwork done, all that stuff. And then about 1 p.m., they were just like, hey, we want you in Houston tomorrow for some stuff. And I was like, okay, no problem. So I book a flight and all that. And I was going to arrive in Houston at like 2 p.m. on the next day. And they're like, no. We want you in Houston tomorrow, the full day. And I was like, okay. Cool, I guess. Cool. And so I had to scramble and put everything together and fly to Houston real fast. But as I'm doing this, I go, I'm going to be on a plane for a couple hours. It's direct flight. I'm going to be there. And then I thought to myself, oh man, I'm going to be on a plane in 2 hours. And I go, I should buy a game. I should buy a game for the Steam Deck. I should buy a game. I'm going to play a game. So I decided that I was going to buy the Lego Skywalker Saga because I've wanted to buy it. It was on sale at the time. Humble Bundle was doing a sale. Plus you get the extra Humble monthly coupon off because I'm a monthly subscriber. And I go, but am I allowed to buy this? Yes, I am. Because I'm going to be flying in the next 2 hours, which means it meets the 2 hour rule. And I was very, very excited about meeting the 2 hour rule.
This is probably the most literal application of the 2 hour rule ever. Where you're buying something with the intention of using it within 2 hours, almost exactly within 2 hours. And you actually pull it off and do that all in the span of, one decision-making conversation.
Wait, no, Chris, what do you mean this is the most literal? I am this literal with the rule every time I apply it.
I guess I am too at this point since we've made it a thing. But I say that I would sometimes stretch it just a little bit. Or if it's DLC for a game I really like, but it's not a game I'm going to play in the next 2 hours, but the DLC is on sale, I'll buy the DLC and not necessarily play it within 2 hours.
No. And here's the thing. If I would have known on Sunday that I was flying to Houston on Tuesday, I would not have purchased this game until I got to Tuesday and said, yeah, I still want to play this game. Because between Sunday and Tuesday, even though I know I'm flying and I know I'm going to be on the plane and I know I'm going to want to play a game, the game I want to play or the fact that I want to play a game and not, say, read a book could change between Sunday and Tuesday. So I have to apply the 2 hour rule.
No, totally. That makes sense. I understand that. I guess I was just saying that I maybe have a looser interpretation of the 2 hours of the 2 hour rule than you might.
No, I need the strictness of the rule, or else it's a slippery slope, man. It's a slippery slope.
Welcome back to Pride and Accomplishment. I'm Chris.
And I'm Jason. This is episode 83.
Jason, it has finally happened. The Dota 2 Battle Pass is here.
I'm so happy for you. You've been waiting a very, very long time for this.
I have been waiting a very long time for this, and I have slightly disappointing news on this front.
What? Okay.
The Dota 2 Battle Pass for the International 2022, which is, the one that's coming this year, has been delayed for a long time. I mean, intentionally delayed. They said, we want to do it so that you have lots of time to play after the International and still have the Battle Pass going and all this stuff, which is a little bit weird on the face of it because sales of the Battle Pass are the primary way that they fund the prize pool for the event. So the winnings for the people that play in the event come from people like me buying this Battle Pass. And so to split it up and say oh yeah, you can buy it throughout this whole season, but only up until the event does any of it count for the prize pool, which is a little bit weird.
I mean, it makes them more money.
Yes. So that's the primary theory is that basically Valve doesn't have to pay out their, the 25% cut, which is how this goes, is that it works out that 3/4 of it goes to Valve and 1/4 goes to the prize pool for all of the Battle Pass related purchases that happen up until the event. But then after that, all of the proceeds for it will go straight to Valve, or at least that's kind of the understanding that we have today. So people are like, oh yeah, that's a little sketchy, right? It doesn't really have it doesn't feel good, right? Because you're not like, oh yeah, we're helping these athletes, esports athletes that we like to watch play, do their thing, and we're going to increase the prize pool for them and give money and whatever. I mean, that's always been a little bit of a false equivalency, but now it's kind of even more stark, I would say.
So how many days between when the Battle Pass normally starts and the event, which they raise the money the whole time, how many days is it normally, and how many days is it this time?
So it's normally like, I don't know, 90-ish days, something between 70 and 120 days or so that they've done it. And they've kind of been making it longer year over year over year. But this year it's going to be like, I don't know, 45 days or something like that.
Wow. Okay. So like half.
Yeah. It's going to be pretty significantly reduced in that regard.
And that will definitely lead to a smaller prize pool?
Almost certainly. And like on the one hand, it also makes some sense. But on the other hand, it's like, the sense making is because they couldn't possibly have kind of beaten their own numbers every single year forever. Because that was really what was happening, is like every year it was like the biggest prize in esports, right? And that was like the tagline for the international. And at some point that was going to not be true. And so there's kind of the idea that like they've chosen to do this almost to give it an excuse to not be the highest, because it's definitely not going to be, because there's not enough time for it to become the highest. Unless they do some crazy like enticements to get people to buy a lot of Battle Pass stuff just before the event or something. So it's kind of like they're just taking it as like a strategic thing to say, oh, this time we're just not gonna make it long enough to, and just take the hit now. And so that we know that it's not going to be the biggest prize pool ever, but that's okay. I mean, at the time of recording right now, the prize pool is still $10 million, which is 1.6 million coming from Valve themselves, and then 9 million coming from the community having bought international related Battle Pass stuff. So it's not like they're hurting for money by any stretch. But in the past, they've gotten all the way up to almost $15 million. Like last year's, they've gotten all the way up to almost $40 million last year for the 2021 international.
Do you think the sales for the Battle Pass will slow once the event has already occurred?
So we haven't really talked about what's in the Battle Pass, and I think it really could go either way. So in the Battle Pass, they have a couple of, cosmetic skins that are really fancy, essentially, like they call them arcanas. Then there's also a bunch of different like voice lines and other little cosmetic things in the game. None of this stuff is game breaking. None of this stuff is pay to win, to be clear. And then in the second half, what they've decided to do is they've decided to add the kind of limited time event that they used to do at Christmas time called Diretide, which is like part Halloween, part Christmas. They kind of have done it in both ways in the past. In this case, it's going to be the same way, because it's going to be from, I think it's like the first week of November until the first of the year almost. So it's going to be kind of a Halloween Christmas crossover where you have like a special mode where you have like candies and Roshan. You hit the big Roshan character. He's kind of like the Baron in League of Legends. You hit him to get candies, and then you have to deposit the candies back at your home base. And if you get hit by other players, you lose the candies and they can pick them up. It's kind of like a little layer on top of a normal Dota game. And so that's like, it's not the best game, but it is a game mode that's kind of special, and it doesn't open until after the international event is over. So if there is something that makes you want to buy stuff, I don't know what they could do, but if there's something where it's like, oh, I want more levels, or I want more Battle Pass stuff, and I will put money into this, then maybe it'll go up after that, but I think it's pretty unlikely.
Why are you less than thrilled? Like, we've gotten into like it raising money, and we've gotten into, some of the things in it. Why is this one different for you? Other than, the time span is shorter, but that doesn't really impact you and what you can get out of the Battle Pass.
No, and really the difference is a couple of things. So they typically have something that they call Aghanim's Labyrinth, or they have another thing where they have like a mode that's a little bit outside of the normal Dota gameplay. Like it's not the typical 5v5. It's more of a PvE mode. You're kind of playing against the circumstances of the game. And that is a really fun way to kind of mix it up and play in the Dota engine, in the Dota world, kind of with the spells and the heroes from Dota, but not playing the game of Dota that takes 45 minutes and is really, intense and people get very into and toxic about and all of that kind of stuff. It's much more laid back, but you still kind of are in the game playing Dota, like, or at least something in the Dota engine. It's like a very elaborate custom map is really what it is. And they have those in most of the internationals in the past, I want to say 3 or 4, maybe 5 years, as another way to get levels for the battle pass.
Right. Yeah. It's important because it progresses. It's a custom game, but it's an important custom game because it progresses the battle pass.
Exactly. So you always feel like you have a little bit of progress. You're getting a little bit of, meta progression outside of your game, whether you win or lose or however you do. And it's also the PvE stuff is more like you don't expect to win every time. It's kind of a teamwork thing. It's kind of a learning the different rules of a different game mode. So like, oh, I have this hero. What are the parameters of playing Darkseer or playing Drow Ranger or whatever, Crystal Maiden in this particular set of rules because they each have different strengths and weaknesses. And I really enjoy kind of that meta thing because I know that I'm not putting enough time into playing regular Dota to be good at it, to climb the ladder or do well kind of in the normal game. And that's just me being honest with myself that I'm just not willing or able to put enough time into Dota 2 to be really good at it.
So there's nothing like that.
There's nothing like that at all. No, there's all they have is the Cavern Crawl, which is a mode where it like gives you different heroes to play, where it says like, oh, win a game with this hero, and then we'll like unlock a little node on a map. And then the map, expands out. And if you get to certain edges of the map, then you get different cosmetic sets. And you can also earn a little bit of battle points and such, which are levels for the battle pass. But in general, yeah, that's a pretty minor part of it. I use it as a way to help me pick which hero to play. I'm just like, oh, only show me the ones that I will make my own progress for if we win, which some would argue is not a great way to play because you may end up picking heroes that you're not very good with. But I'm really only playing Dota to play for the battle pass stuff right now. And mostly just because I like that feeling of meta progression. I am not under any illusions that you can actually make meaningful progress without putting money into the battle pass. But there have been a lot of people on Reddit that have been very bent out of shape because they believe that you should be able to do a lot of like progression without putting more money into the battle pass. And that's never been the case. So like,
I was going to say that's pretty typical. Like that's always been the way it is that you could reasonably earn as a non-super hardcore player, maybe 100 levels over the life of the battle pass. Maybe.
Right. And to put that in perspective, you need like 400 levels to get all of the arcanas and all of the good item sets and things.
Like a super, super hardcore player, maybe like a streamer that they stream Dota all of the time, might potentially maybe be able to finish the battle pass without purchasing any levels. But even that's a stretch.
Yes, that would be a major stretch.
Like it's definitely a way to have you put money into the game. And it's always been that way.
Yeah, and everybody kind of understands that. And that's really the purpose here is to make Valve money. And I get it, and that's fine. But man, like everybody is very, very up in arms about this. And then, of course, there's the flame wars on Reddit.
Why this year? What's different? Like what? Just because like less effort was put into it?
I think that the real reason is because last year, well, between 2020 and 2021, 2020 was supposed to be the 10th anniversary of the International, like the TI-10, they called it. And they went all out for that. And then the event ended up getting canceled and pushed on to the following year. And so I think people were pretty conditioned to have this like big blowout, massive battle pass. And this year they have, one fewer arcana. They don't have this custom mode. They've taken away one of the like a couple of the different little features. Like there was a way you could used to be able to do like wagering for battle points. So you could say like, oh, I'm going to bet that my team is going to win this game and I get an extra 100 battle points, which is a 10th of a level. So it's not even that much. if I win my prediction. That was another thing. They had another item that you could just use, and it would randomly, like, just kind of like a slot machine. It would just randomly give you battle points occasionally, so you could like dig up an extra level and everybody in your team would get it, and it would be like a really cool little moment where you're like, oh sweet, thanks guys. Like, that was a nice little moment. That's totally gone. That's not there this year.
And that would have been super easy just to keep in the game, right?
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of stuff where people are looking at it and they're like, oh yeah, this is just a checkbox for them, I'm sure, right? They just have to enable this feature. Like, in fact, in one case they had that wagering text where you could, bet on whether your team was going to win and get points out of it. Somebody showed a screenshot, and I don't know if it was real, but they showed a screenshot of like the current game client saying like, oh, put in your, 30 seconds left to wager. And that's like not a feature in the game right now. So, I mean, it could have been a manufactured screenshot, but like, I was just like, yeah, that does prove that like all of this is really under the covers. It's still the same code. It's still the same game. They could do this and just turn it back on if they wanted to. But it's clear that they've kind of made a decision. They don't want to support that, or they don't want to build that big of a like feature set for this year's international.
Interesting. I just, they have such a thing here, and they've built up such a like foundation, and it is interesting to me that they just don't like add to it every year, right? I think of some other events that games have, and not all of them are money. Like, let's be real about it, right? The international, the battle pass is all about raising money, right? It is the primary funds raiser for both the prize pool and really for Dota, right? I'm sure they make some others outside of it, but the vast majority of the income for Dota has to come from the international and the battle pass. But why? I don't understand why they just don't keep adding to it. And they can balance how much progress you get from things or whatnot. But I go back to like other games that have things, and I know it's not the same. I know it's not the same idea, but like in cases of like Guild Wars or World of Warcraft or those kinds of MMOs, when they have events or festivals or whatever, you bring back the stuff that you've built every year and you maybe add a little bit more to it. And again, those things typically aren't money-making machines, but they are events, and they do, they take it out of the game and then they add it back in. But they like don't ever take stuff away. And I don't know. It seems to go against of some of the things that I understand about like yearly repeating things. Like if you're not, you build all this hype, you build all this expectation, you build all this, and then you have the ability to keep a lot of the stuff that theoretically people kind of liked, or even if they didn't, it's just features. And suppose, if you didn't break them, why are they not there? So I'm a little confused. It doesn't really affect me because I don't partake in this. It's just a little confusing and interesting to me. I would love, sometimes Valve puts out a little bit of tidbits on why they make certain decisions. I would love, something on this, but I doubt we'll get it.
Yeah, I don't think so. There's a lot of people that think that this is kind of the beginning of the end for the Valve support side of Dota 2. Like they think that this is showing that there's a pulling back of effort, and that they think this is going the same direction as Team Fortress 2, where it's all kind of, I don't know, there's pretty low effort on the Valve side. But I don't necessarily see that. Like I don't think I believe that that's the case, because like I said, this is 8 million that's coming in from the to the prize pool. But that means that there's $25 million that Valve has, because they have 3 times. They have 75% of the things go to Valve, and then 25% goes to the Battle Pass, or to the prize pool. So that means there's $25 million that Valve has made so far off of this game. And like that's enough money to keep a staff of people, employed for a year to work on this game. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think that, I don't know, as long as it's printing money like this.
And we're not done yet, right? We're at day 10.
Yeah, no, we're pretty early on in the process. I mean, we're not even a week and a half in, rather, to this process. And it's moving along at a nice clip. So I don't know. I think that it's something that they are still going to keep going with.
Do you think perhaps, maybe, that they have pulled back on it being the international battle pass and are going to try to attack this as they're going to have year-round battle passes?
I would be okay with that. I actually think that would be great because I really only play Dota when there's a battle pass going on. And the most recent one they had, which was in the spring, I really enjoyed. It was the Aghanim's Labyrinth battle pass, and it was really, really fun. I really do hope they bring that back because it was great. And they've done it 2 years in a row, so they can do it some more. I don't know if they're going in that direction. Some pundits on Reddit were suggesting that they had at one point tried 4 battle passes in a year, and it kind of worked, but then they thought it might have split out the demand and kind of cannibalized the sales a little bit. So they think they're kind of going to more of a 2 battle pass setup now. So like this one, and then maybe one in the spring kind of a thing. Which I'd be fine with. Like, I think that would be good. But I would love it if they would do like almost like seasons like they do in Rocket League or something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Where it's just like constant.
And in order to do that, you can't make one of them more special than the others because then they will cannibalize the sales, right? So you almost have to pull back on this one in order to kind of set expectations and equalize them throughout the year.
If that's the case, time will tell. We'll see. But people are pretty, I would say, annoyed at this current one. I did buy it, but I did not buy it on the first day. I bought it. I actually used the 2-hour rule, and I waited until I was going. Like, I was like, I don't really need it. Like, this stuff isn't that great. I don't know. And then I found myself being like, I'd really like to play some Dota. And so then I bought it like immediately as I was about to use the Battle Pass. So I have it. I bought the 100 level pack because it's the cheapest way to get levels. There was a lot of people that on Reddit that were saying like, I only bought the level 1 pack, which is only, $10. And they're like, because I want to, get some of the baseline stuff because there's like a music pack and some other things, but they didn't want to support it as much. And if you look at any of the like, there's a site called prizetrack.kr. We'll put a link in the show notes, and they track prize pools for different events. A lot of Dota things. I think they also have some League of Legends things. And they have a website that has all of the previous kind of like prize pools over time. And this year's is like markedly below the 2019 and 2021 year battle passes.
Yeah, but to be fair, it's still much higher than the
2018 and prior. Yeah.
It splits it pretty evenly.
It does. But it had been going up kind of like higher and higher and higher, faster and faster and faster every year. And now they've really, it's sitting middle of the road compared to the previous years. But not going up as fast either. Like the slope of the curve is flatter than it has been in years past.
What does Dota 2's player count look like?
That's a great question. I'm not sure.
I'm looking at it right now compared to like from 2019 forward, and it is slightly lower, but it's definitely gotten a recent uptick, probably because of it. It does seem every year during this time, but it does seem slightly. I'm talking, 10-ish% lower than maybe previous years.
Yeah, I mean their total all-time peak was 1.3 million almost, but that was 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But in the last 24 hours, the peak was almost 800,000 players. So that's still pretty healthy, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually the, I think, second most played game on Steam behind Counter-Strike Global Offensive. And to all of the people that say that it's getting maintenance mode like TF2, Dota has like 6 or 7 times the player base of Team Fortress 2. So I feel like that's probably not the case, but I also don't know what Valve has been doing with CSGO. Like, I don't know what the sentiment is on CSGO at the moment.
Well, I'd like an update, Chris. I'd like an update probably when the international happens, from you specifically on like what level you got to. And then maybe maybe we can revisit this when the whole thing is over and take a look at the chart and see kind of where they got to at the international point, and they'll probably stop reporting it once the international happens, right?
Oh, yeah, that may be the case because it won't be a prize pool anymore, so they won't really care. Like, they won't really care to publish it, I would bet, because it won't be increasing the prize pool. So the prize pool will just stop when the event happens.
Yeah, so we have no idea. So I guess maybe from just anecdotal evidence, I'd be interested to see how much further you get or how much more money you put in to buy levels after the international. And we will have one data point.
Yes, then yes, we will not have enough points to make a line, but we will have another data point. So I've been playing a little bit of Dota 2, but in between playing Dota 2, I actually have discovered another new game that I did actually buy outside of Humble Choice or Game Pass. So it's another game that I've actually like purchased and own.
I originally thought this was going to be a Humble Bundle game, and I was like, nah, I'm not going to get it. And then I watched Chris play it, and I was like, all right, fine. And I went and bought PlateUp to play with Chris.
So PlateUp is very similar to Overcooked, which I believe we talked about many, many, many episodes ago, Overcooked 2, as a game to play with other people as a nice party game. This is the same concept, but it's a roguelike, kind of.
Definitely roguelike.
So, yeah, I mean, really technically a roguelite with a T.
Sure.
But it is a cooking time management game, I guess you'd call it. I'm not really sure what the genre is. Like frantic.
Yeah, I think they're called like almost chaos games. Yeah. But it's a roguelike, and you know, it's same idea. You prep ingredients, you cook dishes, you serve them to people go away, you clean up their plates, you move on, right? And you have to do that so much within a round. And the roguelike in this is if you fail any of the time checks, you know, not serving them fast enough, not having, you know, tables available, you fail the round, but failing the round means you fail the run. Whereas in like Overcooked, if you fail the round, you just have to retry the round. And they're, you know, the sequential levels. In this, you fail the whole run, you start back over from the beginning.
Right. And you get a different set of a different layout of like a restaurant to play with, and you can choose a different menu item to be making. So this game, I would say, is similar to Overcooked, except that you have to take responsibility for all of the messed up like constraints that are put on you, because you get a lot of freedom in terms of the layout of the kitchen. You can change where the tables are in your restaurant. You get to choose which items you want to build and take with you for the next like round, the next day of the restaurant. All of these things are choices that the player or players, it's up to 4-player co-op online or local. You have to choose kind of how this all works out and plays together, which makes it, I think, way more fun than Overcooked.
And see, this is the point that sold me. I was watching you play, and I was watching the decisions you were making, and he had to make decisions on like where to put stuff, and then potentially how to automate certain tasks so that he could, you know, do things faster. And a lot of decision making going into like how to set up your kitchen. And that was like the one part of Overcooked that always frustrated me, was like, you have to do, like, it's a chaos simulator. So they're purposely trying to make it as frustrating as possible. Whereas in this, you get to engineer it a little bit. And I really liked that element of it. There was a lot, like, I was just watching you play and I was like, we're going to talk about how to engineer this kitchen.
It's very watchable. Like, we actually, so you and I were playing a run, and we had another friend who was watching us play, streaming on Discord, and he was also kind of getting into it a little bit, being like, oh yeah, you can put this over there, or hey, watch out, there's a table you didn't get, or whatever. It's a very like watchable kind of game, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's because there's so much decision making going into it. In between the rounds, and even during the rounds, like just warning you, hey, that table's about to expire, make sure you hit that next. Or like, hey, you're out of pizzas, you need to make more pizzas. Just like kind of overwatching the whole thing, even though they're not playing. Because sometimes you get a little tunnel visioned when you're, you know, when I'm serving a table and I'm not seeing that, hey, I need to go clean up those plates, or when you're, you know, cleaning up plates and I'm like, hey, we need more pizzas, because you just get tunnel visioned.
Right, and that's the downfall of all of these games. But in this case, it doesn't feel like as frantic as Overcooked, because the things are not set up to purposely mess you up.
Yes, I agree.
The other thing it has is actually Twitch integration, which we've not used because we're not really streaming it on Twitch. But you can actually run a thing and integrate it with your Twitch, and it will bring in viewers' names as the customers in your restaurant.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so just like all the little customers in the restaurant will have just random names from people that are watching your stream. So that's kind of fun.
That's cute. Yeah. I like that.
And then I don't know, maybe they do voting and stuff. I don't really know what else it would do, but I did see some like YouTube streams where people had recorded their Twitch streams and they had all their little characters had names. I was like, oh, how'd that happen? But that's the Twitch integration.
There are some random elements to it, and they can be some of the most frustrating, I think. I mean, what makes it a roguelike. Like in between each round, when you succeed, you have to take what I will call I don't know, it's not really a debuff. It's not really it's not always a bad thing, but they're cards that change the game a little bit. Like it gives customers more patience, but at a cost of something else, or it adds more ingredients. So like if you're cooking burgers, maybe people can request burgers with lettuce and onion on them now, which add more ingredients and more steps to prep certain things, and changes what people can order a little bit. So there are cards, and they give you more experience or more money, or they reduce the number of patrons that come into your restaurant, or there's a lot of like randomness to it. And some of them are worse than others. And some of them I will never, ever choose again. Like the one where you cannot run or walk quickly near customers. Oh my God. It was impossible.
Yeah, that one was tough.
It was so hard. I will never choose that one again. But some of them are, I don't know, good. And it adds that element of randomness to it.
Yeah, I think the hardest one that we did, well, it wasn't that hard, I guess, was instead of getting frozen hamburger patties, you have to make the hamburger patty with like a 3-step process of like chopping meat and adding eggs and putting them together, and then you can cook it. And that just added so many steps to the process of making hamburgers that I did not realize. Like you don't realize when you're making these choices, like how impactful they're going to be on your run and like on how you do. And then you do them and you're like, oh, I've made a terrible mistake.
You're gaining all kinds of game knowledge.
Yes. Absolutely. They also have a way where if you do beat the game, which is a 15-day run, you can do what they're calling franchises, where you basically pick the modifiers. You pick 3 of the 4 modifiers that you had during your run, and one bonus like positive modifier, like something that's like, oh, your people give you more money, or you have more time, or whatever. You get to take those together as like a set of rules, like a rule set almost, and you can play a new restaurant with that set of rules. I haven't tried that yet. I've made it twice to the end to actually get to like pick to make a franchise, but I have not actually played a franchise run yet. So I'm not sure how that all plays exactly, but I'm kind of looking forward to it.
The other thing that I've noticed about this game is that it's much easier with 2 people, and you can play up to 4. So I don't really know how it balances the difficulty with more people. I don't know if the timers are shorter. I didn't really notice that, but I am interested to try it with 4 people if we can find 4 people that own it, just to see what's different.
Yeah, I look forward to when this game does go to Humble, and we already have it, so we can give it to a couple of friends.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I dream of the day when I can make a fully automated kitchen that has like all of the, like, I just put one thing onto a grill or onto one dirty plate into a dishwasher or something, and then the whole thing just Rube Goldbergs itself into food that I can take and give to a person. Like, that is my like peak dream of this game.
I feel like this game, I mean, it was in early access for a while, right? And it just came out, right? Is that why this is all happening?
Yeah, it just came out of early access, and it's one of these games that's made by a single developer.
Okay. I feel like, eventually maybe this game needs a creative mode.
Yeah, like a free play.
where you can place any block or whatever and really build this massive like conveyor machine, and then like see how far you can get or whatever. I don't know. I feel like that would be a cool mode to, complete freedom, do whatever you want. How far can you get?
Yeah, or you could do like some games will do it where they say like, here, you have 1,000 gold and you can in a shop and you can buy whatever things you think you can take and then see how far you can go. Like, that would be another kind of cool game mode or different way to do it, where you have kind of a limited resource, you do it all up front, and then see how well you chose as you go through the game. All sorts of great ideas. If you're the developer of PlateUp, feel free to use any of these. Like we said, we're looking for a couple other people to play PlateUp. So if that's you, you can go ahead and reach out to us on Discord or via any other kind of mechanism to get in touch with us.
Oh, is this my part where I get to say how to get to the Discord?
Yes.
It is, because you did the first part, and now I just get to say you can get there by going to discord.pnapodcast.com. And I had to say that part because I don't know the next part that you say, so I had to say discord.pnapodcast.com.
I was really leaving the opening for you. I knew that this was how this was going to go.
I couldn't do it.
Well, anyway, if you'd like to read our show notes or find any of our older episodes or get in touch with us via email, you can visit our website at pnapodcast.com. That's P, the letter N, and the letter A, podcast.com.
You're so good at that. And I maintain when we finally eventually maybe get t-shirts, on the back it's going to say that's P, the letter N, the letter A, podcast.com.
Sounds good to me.
If you're enjoying the show, we would love if you could share it with some others as well.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.
So, Chris.
So, Jason.
Are you going to get your iPhone in time before your travel?
I am. Yes. I am traveling 2 or 3 days after the iPhone 14 Pro comes out and should come to my house as I have ordered it for shipping to come to my house on the 16th of September, which is the release day of the new iPhones.
Are you just keeping your current phone and dealing with it later?
Yeah, so I basically have decided that I'm going to hold on to my iPhone 13 or 13 Pro and deal with the trade-in or private sale, or keep it as a backup, or I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. But the logistics did not work out this time for me to be able to send it back to Apple to do a trade-in. So I might end up actually for the first time doing a private sale trade-in or a third-party trade-in of some sort, because those always get you more money anyway. And I think even a couple months later, they'll still get you more money.
Yeah, I think so. So we talked last night, and I was really close to pulling the trigger on a watch, but I didn't do it. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm hesitant to. I want to. Okay, so just so everyone's aware, I used to wear an Apple. I wear a watch every day. I just always have to wear a watch, and I used to wear an Apple Watch, and I don't anymore. And the primary reason is because it's not an always-on display. And then they came out with ones with always-on displays, and I never got one. And now I don't know. I don't know why I can't make a decision on which watch I want.
Well, so your choices at this point are aluminum, stainless steel, or Ultra.
I think, okay, the Ultra flat screen looks so good.
It does. It looks very nice, although it is huge.
I wish the other ones had flat screens.
I mean, if you give it a couple years, they might.
I don't have a couple years.
It might be a trickle down. I know, you've got a couple of weeks.
I'm definitely getting a phone. I don't know if it's important to get one right away. When I do it, it will be the iPhone 14 Pro. Is that what you got?
Yes, I got the iPhone 14 Pro primarily because the iPhone now has an always-on screen, which I know that Android has had forever. I get it. However, the iPhone has not, and they are doing it now, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I mean, I've got my phone sitting in front of me right now in a propped up position that with the screen not on. I would love to just have the screen on.
Well, and they did it so that you can see your photo. You can see your phone background when it's in always on mode.
Cool. So I can see my black background. Awesome. Okay. Cool.
All right. Well, you maybe don't count here, but if you have a picture on the background of your phone, it will show the picture and the time and your notifications.
Do you know why I have a black background?
No.
So I can't see the notch.
Really?
Absolutely.
Does the notch really bother you that much?
I have no idea. I haven't seen it in about 4 years.
I mean, you must see it when you go to web pages and stuff.
It does not bother me when I open a web page.
That's so interesting, because now it's going to be the dynamic island where it's this big giant oval offset from the top of the screen.
Yeah, and it's still going to be a black background. You know why else I use a black background?
Why?
Saves battery.
Technically, that is true. My phone is almost always on a charger, so I don't have that problem.
I don't. I charge it once a day, every night. I don't use my phone nearly as much as you do, though.
That is extremely true. Yes, I use my phone. My phone has become a primary computing device for most of the things that I do, even though I have several computers and I like to use the computer, but I don't do a lot of transactional stuff on the computer anymore, I would say.
What were we doing the other day? It was yesterday, I think. And we were both talking to each other on Discord.
Yeah, and we were comparing, and
I asked you a question.
Yeah, we were looking at something, and I was using the app, and you were using the website. But I was sitting in front of my computer.
Yeah, and I was just like, why are you using the app? You're sitting in front of a massive gaming rig? Why are you using your phone?
I mean, the real answer is because I know that I can just get into the app, and the app is like single purpose, and it has all of the screens and things that I need, and it's already logged in with Face ID, and I don't need to, like, even with my password manager, right, I don't have to, like, click the login button or anything. Like, it just knows. So it's I have the workflow more ingrained for the app, because if I'm out and about, I'm using my phone to do these things. And so it was easier to, or at least more natural for me to pick up my phone to do this one thing rather than go to the website. Even though I know how to do it on the website, I am aware of how to do it. I just didn't choose to.
I just don't get it. I would say the only thing that is more more that I use on both my computer and my phone that I would prefer to do on my phone is Reddit. It's the only thing.
I mean, yes, I would agree that Reddit is a better experience on mobile, but also a whole bunch of other stuff.
Nah. I'd rather have Spotify open on my computer playing through a Bluetooth speaker than like opening my phone and using Spotify on my phone.
Yeah, Spotify is different because it lets you do that whole remote thing too, where you have like, one thing logged in and everything can control it and all of that. I'm not in that world. I'm on the Apple Music side of the world. I have actually started to do something where I have an older iPad that I've put into a little stand that I use as almost like a little control center, and I will AirPlay from my iPad with Apple Music to a speaker in my office, and then use that as kind of my music control thing, so that it's not tied up on my phone, so that I don't have to have my phone like anywhere near me, even if I want to still be able to kind of skip songs and do stuff like that. The one downside to that is then my Apple Watch doesn't have the media controls on it because it doesn't know that the iPad is doing the playing.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. I don't get that. I'd much rather have, I mean, I use Spotify, right? But like, I'd much rather have an application on the computer I'm already using.
Yeah. I mean, our philosophies towards computers and computing, especially for work, are also very different. So, my work computer is totally separate from my personal computer and my personal world. So I have a lot more things that I will do while sitting in front of my work computer on my phone or my iPad or whatever.
That's true. That's fair. That's fair. And you're a little forced into that world and a little bit choosing to be in that world.
Right. But I'm not running Spotify on my work computer.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. I mean, I did even when I had a work computer, but even right now, I'm sitting here with my Gmail and my work email open on my personal computer. So it's a little different. Anything else you wanted to say about the topic we were supposed to talk about in the post show?
Oh, you mean the new phones?
Yeah.
I will say that I'm really looking forward to the new 48 megapixel camera. I think that's going to be kind of cool. And I am unreasonably excited about this dynamic island thing. Like, I think it's going to be really neat and a really cool, like, new interaction paradigm for the iPhone, which it hasn't had in a while. So I'm excited about that.
I thought it was clever, and I thought it put a smile on my face when I saw like what they were going to do with it. I don't know. I think the novelty will wear off pretty quickly for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I'm going to be like, oh, look at that! Let me make the island do things. Like, maybe I will just show people because I do that sometimes. But like, I think it's a good use of space. I think it's a good use of like brand identity for the iPhone now, right? Because they're going to have the little home indicator thing at the bottom to swipe up to get home. And also, they're going to have this island thing at the top, so it's going to make a nice little silhouette for the iPhone, which will be cool. And then I think that having the ability to do the thing where you can like have a timer running and showing it at the top unobtrusively is going to be really like nice to have that space kind of be useful. I don't know. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be cool.
I think for someone that uses their phone more regularly than I do, it is a good feature ad.
Yes.